So if I want to become uncivilized, I need to raise my discipline level way up here, like extremely high. Hey, welcome back to Uncivilized Rebirth. Here is where I hope you find a voice of reason and rationale for the argument of healing, and tools and techniques that help you on your healing journey. This video, I want to talk about uncivilized rebirth and what that means to me and what the idea and concept is that I want to get across to you. In, I'd say, the summer of 2021, I was in a parking lot flipping a tire and hitting it with a sledgehammer and just going to the point of exhaustion. I don't really think then I knew what I was after, but I knew I was after some type of change in my life because I knew that everywhere I had ended up was basically the outcome of all of my decisions. Deep down inside of me, I knew that, but I didn't want to admit that. And I knew that I wanted to change. I wanted to become different. I wanted to become a man that could lead a life of helping other people and helping other people heal and not being a needy person. And so a lot of my life, I was very needy. I was looking to every person for hope, like hoping that they were the key, that they were going to help promote me, or they were going to help get me into the next step of my life, or they were going to put me on a platform and be like, okay, share your story, we're going to do this for you. So I was just seeking, and I always had these like very empty voids in me from, I would say, from my childhood with my family. I didn't really have strong family bonds. So there was always this searching and this need and this desire of like wanting some support, some stability, these connections. And I didn't really know what that meant at all. So I was out there flipping that tire in the summertime, hot, just actually enjoying being miserable. I was trying to be comfortable with being miserable because my life was in chaos. And I was like, I need to be comfortable with misery if I want to make it through this period of time. But little did I know, in doing that, that was a transformative phase of my life, because I chose to become comfortable with the uncomfortable, and I stopped seeking comfort. So it came to me all of a sudden, the concept of uncivilized rebirth. And what that meant to me was me choosing to be the man that I want to be. Basically, laying out a structure or a diagram, a path, an end goal, and all these details of where I'm going to be and what this character is going to be and what it takes to get there, which is an insane amount of hard work. And so I had to compare that with who I was, and that was hard, looking in the mirror like, this is not who I want to be. And so when I get into the uncivilized portion of it, what I refer to is not me running around in a loincloth with a hammer and a drum, or like throwing rocks through windows and just twigs in my hair going crazy whatsoever. What it meant to me was the civilization that I grew up in formed me into the person that I was, but it's not the person that I wanted to be. In doing so, what happened as a young child, as the brain was growing, I would be treated this way, or told to act this way, or told to do this, or not to think this, or not to feel this. And so all these feelings in me were being repressed. All of my own desires of how I wanted to be were being repressed. Emotions invalidated. And so this was how I was learning to navigate the world of like, this is how a child is treated. This is how we want you to act. And in doing so, my brain started developing these neural pathways that would later become these pre-programmed responses to external stimuli that I didn't even know happened, where energy's going up through the spine, it goes to the brain. It's like, what do I do with this energy? It's got to go to some process in the brain to activate a feeling, a memory, an action, a process that's programmed for moving an arm and picking stuff up, or words that are played when this is seen. So there was all these times in my life when I was younger and I'd get into this chaos as a child and I would be treated a certain way. And I would go into chaos internally. And I didn't know what to do because I had no guidance. Well, that became my reaction as an adult in chaotic times. So like I didn't have a thought process of like, should I do this? Should I not do this? How is the long-term effects going to play out on my overall goals? I didn't even have goals. I didn't know how to make any processing decisions for decisions or choices that I made in life. So most everything was absolutely random and chaos. Like, what's the easiest path? Oh, this is the easiest path. And all those paths were to avoid mostly conflict or difficult times, because that's mostly what I experienced as a child. So I became a people pleaser. So my brain was programmed to avoid conflict, avoid bringing up things, avoid the truth. Don't be the truth teller. Go towards the comfort. Run away from your problems, and you don't have to deal with them. And this became my pre-programmed responses. This wasn't me at a soul level thinking, I am just going to run from this and hope crap works out. Because that really doesn't work that way. But my brain would observe an external stimuli of a little bit of chaos or a little bit of difficulty, and it would automatically go to this marker that says run, avoid, get away. And that's what I would do. And so for me, that was the civilization that I grew up in that I had to get away from. So for me, becoming uncivilized or uncivilized rebirth is reprogramming the neural pathways in my brain in the manner that I want them to be. But instead of saying, okay, here's where this version of civilization programmed me, now I'm going to go uncivilized and go primal out in the woods and go chaotic. No, what I chose was the civilization that I was raised in and programmed in was very base instinctual, very repressive, and very undisciplined. So if I want to become uncivilized, I need to raise my discipline level way up here. Extremely high as I can, to the most uncomfortable levels. So for me, doing the opposite of the way I was raised meant to become far more disciplined than I ever was. And so in doing so, what I was doing actually is, and I'm still in the process of, when things come up in my life, or they would, there's energy that goes to the brain to a processing point or a marker that I call them. Then the external stimuli would come in of this is a bad time. And the programmed in response to open up or send energy to these responsives of avoid, run away. So imagine there's a little tube with water flowing down it. And it flows down it very easily. And that's the energy running to that process. What I had to do is divert that water flow in real time and create a new pathway. So what I learned was that when I'm in a situation and I find it so incredibly hard to do something that I don't want to do, or to react in a way that I don't want to react, or react in a new way, it's actually energy being sent my brain. I'm having to control it and then send it down another pathway, a new pathway in my brain, forging a new path. And that is the hardest work. That's where that internal conflict is, because that energy easily flows. Let's say water flows naturally just downhill. So let's say those old pathways were all about ease and comfort, like water flowing downhill. So it's like, oh, we're going to comfort. It's like you're running down there, like going to comfort, down the lazy river. And then you see this pathway that's just rocky and jagged and just briars and bramble just straight up this cliff. But you got to get over, maybe not a complete cliff, maybe a very steep mountain, and you got to get over it. So it's like diverting the energy of going down the lazy river to going up that steep, difficult path, forging a new path. But once that new path is forged, I got to the top of that mountain. I'm like, dude, there's actually a little treasure chest of victory up here. Next time I'm on the lazy, start to jump into the lazy river with a choice, and I'm like, wait a second, I remember there's a little treasure chest of victory up there. So I'm going to do this again. I don't want to. And I'm diverting that energy down a new pathway, and it's starting to form to where it gets to the point where automatically now my brain knows it's like, okay, here's the lazy river. Nope. The old pathway starts to dry up and starts to get grown over and doesn't even allow water to flow there anymore. Now the water flows where I want it to go, or the energy through the new pathways that has been created. And that's what I refer to uncivilized rebirth, as in now I react to things differently. I have been in the process of reprogramming the neural pathways in my brain, and I'm proud of it. And I've developed a process that makes it much faster to do that. And it's called the character trigger. And that's what most of this channel is all about, is trying to teach people about the character trigger and how to use it to start basically regrowing or reformatting the neural pathways in the brain. And when you think about it mechanically and actually look at it and what that means energetically going through the brain and the signals and the pathways, it makes so much sense, and it takes out so much shame, blame, and judgment and all this stuff that our society puts on us, and it makes it mechanically easier to change into the person that you want to change into. And for me, it was just a much better person. Like, I want to be noble. Like, I desire that so much. Is that easy? No. Do I fail consistently? Yes. But in my striving, I am creating new neural pathways towards that. I hope that helps explain my concept of uncivilized rebirth and why I have this channel and why I want to help other people. Roadhouse, spiritual hard. I'm ending the video now.